Who's got questions? Yes, sir.
How much?
How much? So it's, as I mentioned, to apply, it's $50. And unless if you come to one of the programs and make sure that you register to come to the program as opposed to showing up and we can verify you're there, it's free to apply. And you got to take this this test for no other reason than you'll sort of question yourself afterwards. They have a lot of it is sort of pattern recognition, kind of these IQ test type things, and then there's a test where they ask you to sort of rank your personality traits by choosing 1 through 5, agree, disagree with certain statements. So, but they get worse and worse. So, the first ones are like, I enjoy working with other people, and then, other ones like, I like torturing kittens, right? So it's like, it's easy. You're like, 1 is most, and 5 is the least, and you got to rank these things. But eventually, as you go along, it gets to the point where there's no good choices. So you end up having to choose, like the best thing you can choose is something like, I think other people should listen to me because I know more than anybody else in the room. And the worst is, I like digging holes in my, human-sized holes in my backyard. So it's like, it's horrible. And after taking this, you're worried that someone's going to blackmail you and say, well, you did say that you thought you were the smartest person in the room. You're like, well, that's because the only option I had to choose is the most likely thing. So just for the psychological thrill, it's worth taking this test. The program itself is $1,000 with a couple caveats. One is if you're just grinding through and you realize it's too much of a load because of whatever else is going on in your life. If you drop out, you can take it the next semester when things may be better. If you get into it and realize it's just not the program for you, if you quit within the first 3 weeks, you get your money back. So you break that down by hour and by 14 weeks. It's really affordable. And that's it. So not a lot. And then of course there's the other component is you form a company. 4% of the company is given in the form of warrants. If anybody wants me to explain warrants versus stock, I'm happy to do that. And as I mentioned, 25% of that goes to Founder Institute. The rest is split among the mentors, directors, and your peers. And as I was discussing earlier, network is important, and this builds a network. If you go on the site, you can see who the Virginia Beach or local 30 mentors are, and you will I think it's a pretty impressive group. So they become part of the network. The other people in your group, each cohort is about 20 to 35 people. So you're instantly building a group that not only has sort of the social interest in helping you, but also they have a financial interest. They want to see you succeed. So it's a great way to build that group cohesion. Yeah.
You mentioned the number 4% and the number 25%. I'm a little confused.
Yeah, sure. So of the 4% of equity that you give, 1% basically, 25% goes to Founder Institute, which is this global organization, and the remaining 75%, so the bulk of it stays local.
How long is that royalty or whatever going to be in place?
Well, it's not a royalty. It's just the opportunity for the holders of the warrants to buy into the company at some point. So,
how long is that effective?
I have to look at the documents. It's probably 10 years, but it's
I'm just wondering because if you start off with a little app now, it's only worth 100,000. Now it's valued at like 100 million. It's a whole big difference on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I mean, to be honest, you're either gonna, succeed or, or flame out within a few years. Keep in mind the 4% is 4%, so it's subject to dilution and everything else. It's really, I'm not doing this because I'm excited I'm going to get, a fraction of the 75% of the 4% that's here, for a warrant in a bunch of companies. That's just sort of a nice, it's kind of like a tip. It's like, hey, thanks, and maybe everyone will make a lot of money and you'll make a little bit of money. Oh, forgot to mention, September 13th, one of the speakers is Harry Tully, who is the CEO of Uncle Harry's. Everyone know what Uncle Harry's is? Their ice cream cake company, and he's bringing samples. So even if you don't like to talk about startup stuff, if you like ice cream cake, which, let's be honest, who doesn't, then you should come anyway just for the ice cream cake. Yes?
So,
is this a question about the ice cream cake
no,
or about
not at all. Definitely not for me.
Okay.
No. It's going to be healthy ice cream. So,
oh, it's healthy. They have an organic option, by the way. So, sorry, go ahead.
I'm not healthy enough. But anyway, tell me your why behind this, because you alluded a little bit to it, so I want to know what's driving this? So what did you and your partner say, why do we want to do this? Why do we want to bring it here? What is this?
Yeah, sure. Well, I can speak for really only for myself. My partners, I think, have similar, objectives and thoughts, but, you can ask them when you see them on September 13th. Which you can, by the way, get the details on if you text to 757. But the reason I did it, because I've been involved with startups, it's my whole career. So I get a little depressed every time I say this, but I've been practicing law for over 20 years. And I've worked with startups, when I was working up in Philadelphia, when I moved down here. I started a group called the Entrepreneurs Forum of Hampton Roads back in 2000, or was one of the co-founders back in 2000, 2002, 2003. I was on the board of the Tech Council. I'm trying to think what else I've done. A lot of sort of other stuff involved in the ecosystem. And one thing that I think this area needed and can benefit from is a program that helps people at the very early stage. Someone with an idea. And because of sort of the local economy and what people do locally, the idea of one that you can do while you're working your day job was also incredibly appealing. The international network is great. I think we've got a lot of sort of skilled and potential entrepreneurs here. What I think we're lacking is that connection to the outside world very often. And this is a great way to do it. So there's a Founder Institute in DC, and we're obviously talking to them because of the proximity, getting some pointers from them, but also getting plugged into the Angel Network in DC. And often that's the issue with this area. It doesn't have the capital that you really need to support an entrepreneurial ecosystem to the extent that we can plug in to ones that are, whether they're in DC or elsewhere, frankly, in the world, which is one of the things that go back to this. It's fantastic. The Founder Lab and the Seed program are great. We're already getting information and invitations about the Select portfolio. Hey guys, here's a company that's come through the entire Founder Institute, and here's something that you may be interested in that's open for investment. And that doesn't affect the people that go through the program as much, except to the fact that if you get through to that point, you're being exposed to directors and mentors in 170 cities around the world. Yeah.
So I actually have a couple questions. I'm curious how you would define your target market.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're targeting tech-oriented businesses more than somebody that just wants to open a mom and pop kind of operation. And then how are you marketing to find those people?
That's correct. I mean, tech may be a little too narrow, or you could say that tech's involved with everything these days. So who knew that car, taxi company or a food delivery company or a renting out your apartment company they're all tech companies, but you can look at it that way. But you're right, the mom and pop, someone wants to open up a flower shop.
Right.
This isn't the program for you, no question about it. And how are we getting the word out? We're getting the word out by coming to events like this. Obviously, social media. We have been in contact, thanks to Ray, with every economic development office in I think the 14 city county area, and also hoping that we'll spread the word. And of course, Founder Institute is also getting the word out in addition through social media. So yeah, yes sir.
So your area is 14 cities, I guess, within the Hampton Roads and maybe to Richmond. How big is your population of participants in the program?
Well, we had our first event 2 weeks ago, and there's, again, Founder Institute is great at running this through a proven method. And we, as well as Founder Institute, the guys in Silicon Valley, want to explore this area to see if there is enough entrepreneurial activity to support this program. They don't want to just sort of launch it and 4 people show up and they hope that they can do it. They have numbers. They want X number of people to show up at these introductory events, and of those X people, they want Y number to apply. And if we don't hit those numbers, their experience, they've been running this program since 2008, is that there isn't enough sort of juice in the area to make it work. So we're not launching the program, right now we're at the exploratory stage. Now, so that's it. So it's really fascinating because, their gauge is that if, you can't attract enough people to do it, then it's just not worth launching in this
Yeah,
area.
one more follow-up.
Yep.
What is the typical attrition rate, I guess, as to, I apply and then they end up dropping out or say, hey, I just can't go?
Well, assuming you're accepted to the program, they say 35% make it all the way through the 14 weeks. So it's a fairly high attrition rate. It's a rigorous program, which, frankly, I think speaks to the value of it. Did you have a question?
Yes, so I applied, I accepted the program, and what am I walking out with at the end of those weeks? At the end, what are the expertise that I'm getting, like financial, can you list
Well,
that?
you're getting, and if you go on the website, which I will email to you, if you text me at 747-745-3412, and I can show you the whole curriculum. They've got it all laid out. Again, it's just, one great thing about this is that I think people, in their area, to this credit, have said, let's form an accelerator here, an incubator here, or have some sort of program, but it's been kind of, it's the best they can do, but everyone sort of has day jobs, so it's not a proven template that they can use. And there's a template. The 14-week program has been used, honed, refined, improved, and now, but again, text me, I'll send you all the information.
So on the website, do you have a list of the program, like the topics that you cover?
Yeah,
Okay,
there's plenty of stuff there, yes.
So during the 14-week program, how many people were you shooting for to apply for that? And the second thing is the role for the mentors. Is that ongoing after the program's over or just during the program?
So two questions. So I think the numbers, which I should know better because they drill it into our heads, the number of people, they want something like 100, 110 people to apply, or they sort of determine that if you get around that number that apply, you'll identify the 20 to 35 people who are good for the program. So again, these are the metrics. If 30 people apply, they'll say, guys, the Hampton Roads area just isn't ready for this. And we move on and maybe we try again in 6 months or a year or something like that, but it's just not going to make it. They're not going to say 35 people applied, let's have 5 people, let's launch, because they just realize smaller cohorts like that don't work. So is there some wiggle room? Probably, but not a lot. And if you don't get those 20 to 35 people for the cohort, they're just not going to launch the program. So that was one of your questions.
Yeah, the mentors.
Oh, the mentor. So it's interesting. So the mentor commitment is relatively minimal. But again, this is fascinating about the program is they determined that this works. So we asked of the mentors to basically participate in one of the 14 evenings. It takes about probably an hour of preparation. Again, FI provides a lot of the curriculum. They lead it. They add in their own personal experiences. So it's probably a 5-hour commitment from the perspective of the mentors, and say that's all you need to do. Now, as the FI program has proven in 100-something other cities and other countries, with that data they've gathered, they've determined that people get more interested. The mentors become attracted to the cohort participants and want to get more involved. And so that you end up with a robust group of mentors who have self-selected from this group of 30 that we have, and I think we're gonna cap it at that. Get involved and help out. Now, what's also interesting is we talked about the equity and how the equity is split locally. Basically the 3% or this of the warrants or 75% that's kept locally is. How does that split up among the mentors? Well, the cohort basically votes on who should get equity. So if you're a mentor that shows up to one event and then disappears, you may not get any, or you'll get a fraction. There's it's really some minimal amount. But if you're a mentor that is there at every event and you are working closely with one of the cohorts, then you're going to get more. So again, it's this sort of fascinating system. This incentivizing program to encourage mentors, not just to do it because they want to, which I think is a reason that people do it, but also, to possibly down the road, get something out of it, which is I think a good incentive for it. Yes?
All right, so you keep saying cohort, so presumably it's you start at, you have 14-week sessions, you start here and you end here.
Correct.
Everybody's going through it together, it's not like you start at one group every week or?
Correct.
Okay, so you're running one session at a time?
Yes.
Or one cohort
Semester,
at a time?
yeah, correct.
So you'll maybe do 3 or 4 a year, 3 a year probably?
Yeah, I think, it's probably, again, it depends on the interest, but I think they shoot for 2 a year. Just because, ideally you're getting the mentors involved, and again, statistics show that a certain percentage aren't, and you can't let this thing really go live, so.
And then how do you qualify the mentors, I guess, because anybody can come off the street and say, yes, I'm a business guy and I want to be a mentor. How do you determine that they're actually a good fit for the program? There's a test to be an applicant, but how do you qualify the mentor?
Well, the Founder Institute lets the local directors identify the mentors, and that's what we've done. So there are people, and again, if you text to this number, I'll send you the link, and you can look at who the mentors are. And I think anybody that looks at it will be like, wow, that's a good group of people. A lot of them are sort of proven CEOs who started their own company and now are successful. Some of them are kind of one chapter ahead of the horse, right? They just started their company and they're up and running, so they can speak about hey, in a year you guys are going to experience X. So take a look at it, but they don't have to go through the rigor, because candidly there's a self-selection process with the directors and the participants. They take a psychographic test, which to a certain extent shows they're collaborators, people that want to work together and they want to help out other people, sort of as indicators for an entrepreneur, for a team builder. With the mentors, a lot of it's self-selection. So they show up, they talk. If they're inclined to help, and that's sort of their innate instinct, then they will. And if they're not, they won't. But again, statistically, you invite these 30 mentors who are interested in putting in some effort, a portion of them will continue on. So they're all accomplished, they all have something really interesting to say, and that's what makes a mentor. Yes?
Does the company provide introductions to equity investors?
So that's not what the, no problem. So that I should have asked everyone to turn the phones on vibrate at the beginning, but I didn't think I'd have to ask the person who's organizing it. They're not a fundraising entity. I mean, that's not the purpose of it, but they are going to teach you how to do it. To the best ability they can. And again, one of the issues of this area, there's not a lot of equity, sources in this area, and that's one reason that we are striving, the local directors, to make those connections to the extent we don't already have them with the guys in DC, because that's sort of the closest link, and the Raleigh-Durham area as well. But they do have some, but you can't promise this. Because they do have these, if you look at the Founder Lab, the first check marks, dedicated fundraising coach in Silicon Valley, access to shared databases of investors and advisors, virtual training sessions, assisting with building an investor pipeline. But not everyone gets to the Founder Lab. I mean, you got to get to this whole program, so we can't really promise anything that's in the second or third column. Definitely you go through the first part. Obviously you're not going to get to the second part unless you go through the program. So anybody that says, yeah, I'm going to introduce you to a bunch of investors, it's basically blowing smoke.
But equity investors in Silicon Valley aren't the least bit interested in deals on the East Coast. I mean, it just seems like we paid a lot of money, spent a lot of time, and then at the end, there is no place, you need equity investment.
Right, as I said, this program isn't built around, it's not built around the promise of getting equity investment. That's not what this program's about.
But then it's the obvious next step. And
that's true.
You're all dressed up and no place to go. If you don't have some equity investment.
Well, there's certainly a, hole in this area.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah, so, but if you follow that logic, your suggestion is nobody should be in this room, they should all be in Silicon Valley.
No, and my suggestion is that we need to develop a network of equity investors who are interested in investing in companies in this region, because as you point out, we don't have very many.
Right, and to a certain extent, it's a chicken and egg issue,
Yeah.
because there are, there's 757 Angels, which I'm sure you've heard about.
Sure.
They're desperately, scrabbling for, my sense, is for companies to invest in. And part of it is there's not a strong pipeline. And we're working on building that pipeline. We're the sort of open mouth of the funnel, saying, come here, build the ideas, and then the objective is to, and this goes back to, hold on, this slide where, here is Founder Institute, and here is, the Angels, Y Combinator, and these other sort of incubators which you don't have in this area, but people are working on. But this is us. This is us. And you're right, we need to build that pipeline. But in order for there to be people that are interested in investments, you got to have things to invest in. So, and that's what we're building.
Yeah, but you can find venture capital venues throughout the region for companies to show up at and make presentations. So one could but set up a venture capital or angel at this stage might be better, but to find venues for presentations for equity investment. It seems like that's the next logical step.
So it's interesting. So we were talking to the folks over at 757 Angels,
Yeah.
and they said they have had 400. I don't know exactly what they mean by of contacts or inquiries or pitches by people who are not ready for prime time. They just don't have a well thought out idea, or they don't have. Apparently it's again, I haven't done any of these pitch sessions, but it's clear to them that there's no, there's just nothing there. They don't have their act together. Or people don't know what they're doing. That they're just not prepared to even pitch to an angel. All right. You go through this 14-week program, you'll be ready to pitch to that angel. So we can have, you can travel to Richmond and talk to the UCROPs at New Richmond Ventures, or go to the DC or Northern Virginia Angel, breakfasts. But it's not going to matter if you don't have the capability to make the pitch, to talk the language, and to have a coherent idea and vision. And that's what Founder Institute does. So we could have a dozen VCs right here in this area, and angel groups, but it wouldn't matter if the people aren't prepared for it. And that's what this program is for, and that's why, you ask why I got involved in this, is because I've got, clients up and down the East Coast, who, great example, I had a new client in New York who, went to Stanford, worked at Booz Allen, not the government side, the civilian consulting side, then worked at Time Warner, where she ran an in-house incubator program for Time Warner. Quit, started her own business. That's when I met her. She called me up, a couple weeks ago and said, "Yeah, I pitched in front of the Stanford graduates, alumni angel group. And while I was there, I met somebody who went to Harvard undergrad, and he invited me to the Harvard angel group breakfast. We don't have that here, right? We don't. But even if we did, it wouldn't matter if you're not prepared for it. And that's what this program does. And not only that, it doesn't just prepare for you to, prepare you just to, go out and seek money. You can bootstrap. One of the speakers and one of the mentors is Pratik Kothari. I don't know if you guys know this guy, Tech Arc. He's going to talk about, we're talking about, the topic is startup funding, how to raise money for your idea. He's going to talk about how he bootstrapped, how he paid for it himself. And that's another thing this program is going to provide, prepare for you. So you're right, we can lament the fact that there aren't angels. You know what the investors are lamenting? There aren't enough companies to invest in this area. And that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Your ideal, not just a client, but the ideal member of a cohort, what would that look like?
The ideal member of a cohort, someone who manages to get through this insanely
That's after
humiliating
the program.
exam. That's it.
Yeah.
So-
That's it they're getting into, but someone who's looking at it, what would be the one you wanna look for? What, you know, just, I got
So it's
an
not a flower
idea
shop.
of a napkin,
Yeah,
or,
not a flower
you know,
Yeah, we don't want the flower shop. Although, that being said, the guy that built edible arrangements, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
He started as a flower shop, and we so totally love a guy like that. So if you want to say I want to build 1,000 flower, own 1,000 flower shops, yeah, we want that guy or woman. But we don't want the person that's
Scalable is a
Yeah.
key factor.
Right.
Scalable is a key factor.
yeah, we don't want somebody that says I want to open one flower shop. And not only we don't want them, they don't want us. They don't want this program. It's not going to be a good fit. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, do you envision Founders Institute to compete with or collaborate with Hatch?
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to collaborate with them. Hatch, I think, is evolved. They moved out of their space. That's what someone told me. Okay, so
it's evolved.
I don't know. The one thing that this program has, and this is what's really exciting, is that it's got as I mentioned, sort of a rigorous program that's proven to work elsewhere. And so, we've got, again, local mentors, but they've all proven themselves. I mean, really well. And it's really an impressive group of people. I mean, again, text, send you the link, check it out. But it's a great group. So, I don't know what Hatch, frankly, is doing these days, but we've been in touch with, Zach and asked them to publicize this event, and, I think, I think he's going to, so. But does it compete with it? I don't think they've got a 14-week program with a curriculum that's been honed and developed by using it in 170 cities in 60 countries, that came out of Silicon Valley, and, gives you an opportunity to, interface with people all over the country and the world.
I'm just wondering if would this be a next step after Hatch, or?
This is, again, I don't know these days who's going to Hatch, but this is for people that have got an idea, and they may not have a lot more, or maybe people that are, we've got the list for. Yeah, here we go. If you employed or just have an idea, you already have an idea or a product, or have a product, and customers. Here's who it's for: early stage, MVP, and early company. So, this is who it's for. It's not for someone that wants to, take a part-time MBA. I mean, that's not what this is. It's not for someone who's got a corporate job and wants to enhance their skills so they can get a promotion in the company. That's not what it's for. It's for people that want to start their own company or have started it and need some rigor and guidance. Drink information out of a water hose. That's what it's for. Fire hose, not just a water hose. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned that there are 3 stages, if you, I think a couple of slides down. So that's, a couple more, I guess.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so there's.
So do we go through all 3 stages at that point is it for 3 stages, the program,
so
or
we're
just the first stage?
This is the second and third column are other programs within the Founder Institute system. But we're just talking about the first column.
Okay.
So the second and third are available to the graduates. Again, it's a rigorous program, but they're available to them. But not everybody's going to make it. They're not going to ask everybody to, it's called the select portfolio for a reason. So it's not, you're in, congratulations, you'll be in the select portfolio and you'll be exposed to investors around the world. This isn't a, hey, pay us money and you'll get introduced to investors. That's not what this program is. And again, anybody that promises that isn't promising much, or isn't going to deliver much. Who else? Any other questions? Yes?
So what can Lemonade Cups do for you?
We can spread the word. I think it's let people know about this. We're looking for people that are interested, people that are curious, people that like ice cream cake, right? And so, come check it out. So we're having an event on September 13th. And we're gonna have other events. If you can't make that one, text me, let me know, I'll send you information, let other people know about it.
So in the meantime, cup of coffee for you.
Wow, right.
It goes really well, but that's